War in Ukraine has sparked tectonic, no less moving geopolitics of the world today. Yes, the world, as not only Europe, is involved, but involuntarily, the safety of Europe and the United States, even though some might hope that big beautiful ocean would save them. But it is not the case. It won't. So with new safety architecture needed urgently, what's to expect? We decide to ask someone who might know the answers. Welcome to Wrap Up Analytics on UATV English. What's to expect in general?
So you're going to have Putin with his outlandish set of demands, and you're going to have Ukraine that is making sure that he never achieves them.
In particular on Xi Jinping and China.
Now, to Xi and China, I don't think Xi cares about Russia at all.
Accountability on war crimes for Russia.
You will have a strong body of evidence of the responsibility for war crimes committed by very senior Russians.
Kurt Douglas Volker, an American diplomat, served as U.S. ambassador to NATO under the Bush presidency and then in a volunteer capacity as Donald J. Trump's U.S. Special Representative for Ukraine. Ambassador Volker has extensive experience in Ukraine. He traveled to Donbass many times, met military in there on his own, and certainly has a personal stance in the matter that is as balanced and knowledgeable as it gets.
We signed the charter. We will not be subject to the ICC. Around the world, what Russia has done is committed for decades. And out of that, we're able to join NATO and become part of that club and be
My first question, peace and justice in Ukraine. What do you believe to be current Trump's administration vision of that for Ukraine? What is this?
Honestly, I think the vision that President Trump has is an end to the fighting. Just people stop killing each other.
For starters.
Well, I don't think he is weighing in much beyond that.
Right.
I think he just wants to get the fighting over with. And then it's going to be up to a lot of others to build what the future means.
Right.
And I think Europe will be heavily involved in that, maybe at a lower level, maybe American diplomats, American investors, business community. We have now this Ukraine investment fund that was set up as a result of this minerals agreement.
Right.
That will engage the U.S. in Ukraine's resource development and investment in reconstruction. So there'll be a lot of things that evolve organically over time, but I don't think President Trump personally has a vision of justice and peace the way that you said.
Right.
I think he just wants to see the fighting over and then let people get on with things.
Right, let me jump to what happened between Russia and China just recently, because China is getting closer and closer to Russia, and recently Xi Jinping, no comments on that yet?
I don't think that's true.
You don't think that's true?
No.
I mean, he said, obviously, that the war is over when the reason for the war is over, when Putin reaches his goal. And his goal is the denazification of Ukraine.
Well, that's Putin. And that's
Putin.
And that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
I'll come back to Xi in a second, but just regarding Putin. Putin will always be Putin. He will never agree that Ukraine is a sovereign, independent country. He will never agree that there is a separate Ukrainian nationality and language and culture and history. He believes everything is Russian. He believes that Russia has a right to rule over other peoples, which he looks at Georgia or Armenia, the Baltic states, and that's the Ruski Mir.
Right.
And he says that we have a right to rule over them. But Ukraine's not even in that category. He views Ukraine as Russia. That it's just
not as an enemy, as a part of Russia.
As a part of Russia, that these are confused Russians who've been brainwashed by the West, and they need to be corrected. That's
so
that's his,
a correction is what's going on.
Yeah, so he will never give up on that vision. He'll also never achieve that vision, because Ukraine is a separate people, separate history, separate identity. These are people who are fighting for their families, their homes, their lives, their culture, their identity. You can't take that away from them, and Putin can't eliminate that. So you're going to have Putin with his outlandish set of demands, and you're going to have Ukraine that is making sure that he never achieves them. And what the West's responsibility here is to stop Putin, help stop Putin, so that this ends. And we may end up in a very long-term standoff, as we had with the Soviet Union, where we simply don't agree, but we're not at war. That I think, is where this is headed. Now, to Xi and China, I don't think Xi cares about Russia at all. I think they view it opportunistically. If Russia can sell them cheap energy, they'll buy it. If Russia will buy Chinese goods, they'll sell them.
Maybe some land.
They like the idea of weakening a Western grip on the global international order. So if Putin is instrumental in weakening that grip, that's good. But Xi's economic interests are much more wrapped up in Europe and the United States than they are in Russia. They definitely want to pursue their Belt and Road Initiative with Europe. Russia's not important in that. They would probably like to be part of Ukraine's reconstruction. So I don't see them in an alliance of emotion and an alliance of shared goals. I see China as the stronger partner, just taking advantage opportunistically where it can. By contrast, Putin is in a subordinate position, a secondary position when it comes to China. He needs China. And so he is always begging Xi to come visit, always begging Xi to make statements, put out joint documents. But I don't think Xi has any investment in this.
And again, question from a different realm, accountability. ACA or ACA, as Ukrainians, but whatever that means, let's say the war stopped on pause, on hold, whatever.
Yeah.
Then comes what? How do you believe, sir, that it is possible for the high-profile Kremlinites, people from the Kremlin, actually, to get a hold of them, to make them accountable, to hold them accountable for what they did? Exactly as you said, not you said, or Ambassador Williams, and I don't remember, but you both probably shared one and the same opinion. It's easy to find a Russian soldier who committed a crime, to hold him accountable. He means nothing.
Right.
What about the other people?
Yeah. I think what's going to happen is you will have a strong body of evidence of the responsibility for war crimes committed by very senior Russians. And this needs to be thoroughly documented according to international standards. It needs to be made public. So the first thing you're fighting for is shaping the international understanding of what Russia did.
Right.
The next thing is whether Russia would agree to extradite those people to face justice, either in Ukraine or in an international tribunal. The answer to that is quite simply no. They're not going to do it. Certainly not under a Putin regime or a regime that is like a Putin regime.
Right.
And if Russia has an internal change and they become a normal country, and never seen that, but if they did, even then there's such a nationalist sentiment in Russia, I'm skeptical that they would extradite people. So I think it's more important to set the record out there. And if there is ever an opportunity to bring individuals at a high level to justice, we should be ready for that. But I don't think we should have unrealistic expectations about the likelihood of that.
Thank you so very much for your time. You actually answered my next question, but just promise me another interview when next time you're in Kyiv.
Sure.
Great.
Thank you
you so very much, sir.
Thanks. Pleasure.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank you so very much for watching this interview with Kurt Volker. My name is Henry Keane and we are UATV English. Please comment and subscribe. It helps us to deliver Ukrainian perspective to real news. It was Wrap Up Analytics. Thank you and see you soon.